Welcome back to the Max Reality. If you've seen my face before, then you know the drill. But if you're new here, my name's Morgan, and I love talking all things reality TV. And today, we are talking about Shark Tank Season 15, Episode 9. Our sharks for the episode are Kevin, Lori, Mark, Robert, and my all-time favorite guest shark, Emma Greed, who is the CEO and co-founder of Good American and also a founding partner of Skims. Skims, if you ever want to sponsor me, I see you all over YouTube, I'm just saying. Our first pitch of the night is Rebel Cheese. Kristen and Fred walked into the tank looking for $750,000 for 5% of their artisan vegan cheese. Here's some product photos from their website. I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory though. It is just fancy artisanal vegan cheeses. So for the cost breakdown, the product they used was their Wheel of Brie. It cost them about $4.67 to make. They wholesale it for $9 and it retails between $15 and $20. Last year they did $2.5 million in sales and they're projecting $3.5 million this year. I don't know how long total they've been in business. They didn't say that, but the last 4 years they've been profitable. This year though, they're only hoping to break even because they spent a lot of the years scaling, getting factories and all that. So they're just hoping to break even this year, which at least they have a good reasoning though. You know, it's not like they weren't selling. So they have three main ways they sell it. And then once again, we get a little percentage of how much each of their business is. So e-commerce is 16%, wholesale is 17%, and then they run an actual physical restaurant in Austin, Texas, and that is 65% of their business, they say. That is missing 2% though. So there's 2% that's just run by heart, love, I don't know. One of the first obvious questions is, okay, $15 to $20, how does that compare to regular cheese? And they say a regular, like, Wheel of Brie that's from a nicer place is going to be $10 to $20. So they're right there with them. I was poking around and I don't know. I guess it also just kind of depends what's nicer and where you are. It's all very relative. So much of this sort of part is kind of relative. But number one, I found another vegan Wheel of Brie at like my Kroger. So that means it's got to be in a lot of places. That was $10. Granted, I haven't tried it, so it might not be as good as theirs is. I haven't tried theirs yet though either. But I don't know about the price. And I saw a Brie at like $8, but I don't know what's high-end Brie. I'm just saying, I don't know. I think theirs is more expensive, especially because I have been on their website because I was wondering some things because this pitch was incredibly short. So I was like, oh, I'll spend some time looking at their website, reading some articles about them. The prices on their wesite. So for starters, the idea of 15 to 20, I don't know if that's just for their like wholesale partners because they didn't say it. They didn't say for sure that the retailers sell them between 15 and 20. They said that's their MSRP. So stores get to pick, you know, what they price things at. That's just their suggested price. The website though, if you want to buy cheese from them, there are a couple different ways. They have some pre-set up boxes you can buy. It seems like they do a seasonal one because there's like a winter one, a Shark Tank box, a Lori box, a Mark box right now. Your other option is to build your own box. You can either just buy the box once or you can subscribe. They much prefer you subscribe, like a lot of websites these days. I don't know why everybody pushes the subscription thing. I mean, yes, I do. It's like guaranteed sales, but whatever. Anyway, the lowest amount for cheese that I saw was $18.50, and that's if you're buying it once. It's $17.58 if you're gonna subscribe. So to buy cheese like this, that's putting your box at like $100 and plus dollars. The pre-made boxes are 6 different things of cheese, and it's $115. Granted, I will give them that it is free shipping. I mean, part of it's probably because the shipping is in the cost, but it's pretty expensive. That's all I'm saying. Diving back into the pitch, we then get Robert, who pulls a Lori from a couple episodes ago when she was like, are you the only reading game? And he asks this question.
Are you the only one that makes a vegan cheese?
No.
Obviously, the answer to that is no. There are lots of different brands of vegan cheeses. There are huge national brands that are all over the place, but if you don't know, you don't know, I guess. It was just so funny. And then to have Mark just be like, no. First, Kevin jumps in, just saying he really hates their valuation and goes out in the most Kevin way possible because, he's Chef Wonderful.
If anybody here should invest in this, it's me, but I'm out.
That's okay, though, because the minute that Kevin drops out, Mark drops in and offers them the $750,000 for 10%. No fanfare, no nothing. He's just like, okay, I'll offer you that. So funny. Classic Mark.
Wait. Wait.
That's not all, though, because Lori wants to team up once again. The dream team is back together. She talks about how last season she invested in a company called Bordery. Pretty much, they do fancy charcuterie boards that they ship to you. If you're interested, go check out, one day I'll learn which way to point. Go check out the video from last season where I talked about them. Like always, the companies are timestamped in the bottom. Go find it if you want to hear about them. But anyway, Lori talks about how they don't have any vegan cheeses yet, so pretty much she could just pair them up with Bordery and bada boom, bada bang, it's done. Also, I just love Lori speaking for Bordery. I mean, it would make sense for them to add vegan cheese and to use this vegan cheese if they're partnered with Lori, but Lori just guaranteeing it without talking to them. I've never really thought about it before. The sharks do tend to do that a lot, but it's so funny when you think about it. You're like, wait, what? You don't own a majority share, but they are sharks, so I'm going on so many little sidetracks with this one, but this one just had no information, so I've had a lot of time to spend looking up stuff. They have not partnered up with Bordery yet. I went on Bordery's website. They do not have any vegan cheese yet, so TikTok, Lori, TikTok. Back to the offer. They don't even end up asking for more equity. Lori just says she will go in with Mark, $750,000, 10% to sharks. You think they would immediately just fall to their knees and say yes, especially because right after Lori makes this offer, Robert and Emma are just both like, yep, those are the people you need to partner with. Emma also just didn't like it. She said the texture was kind of off, so that was part of why she went out, and Robert also kind of didn't get it. So Mark and Lori, their only chance. They're also great partners. What do you think happens next? They counter offering 1% more than they originally asked for, aka 6% for $750,000. Obviously, the sharks immediately say no. They're then like $1 million for 10%. The sharks obviously also say no to that. There's in this kind of like awkward moment where you're not really sure what they're going to do. And then Fred is like, well, we would really like some help with, marketing and getting it out there. And Mark offers to go down to a grocery store in Austin and hand out samples one time, which I believe he will do. I bet a lot of people watched that and are like, he's not going to do it. But back in the day, I can't remember the season off the top of my head, but I Want to Draw a Cat for You that Mark partnered up with. He agreed to draw like 1,000 cats or something like that, and that man did it. I think they even priced them more and maybe gave money to charity. I'm talking off the top of my head right now, so I might be wrong, but I do know he drew those cats, so I believe he will go down to Austin, so they should immediately take their offer. Oh, and Lori's like, I have Bordery, so that's the distribution. Anyway, Bordery, Mark going down to Austin. You think they'll say yes, right? Wrong. This man counters 7.5%.
Greg, let it go! Let it go!
But they still do not take the offer yet. They stand there for a minute and then ask if they can step to the side and talk. Mark and Lori are like, yeah, sure. But Kevin stops them. He's like, wait. And they turn around and he's like, I have some Shark Tank lore, which is fantastic wording from Kevin. He calls himself the Shark Tank vampire. And he's like, after 200 years of Shark Tank, and pretty much he's saying that they're great partners. Their offer's great. It's silly to go talk about it. And he just gives us this great line and is saying what the people are thinking, honestly.
You don't need to walk anywhere. You'd be out of your you-know-what minds not to take that deal. And this isn't even my deal. I'm just saying, this is your moment.
Absolutely.
What the are you doing?
Then Emma says immediately what I thought.
I almost
screen that one
never
up.
agree with him, but what he said. Or else.
And they end up making the deal for $750,000 for 10% with Mark and Lori. But honestly, Fred does not look super happy about it. I even had a theory at one point after watching it that deal might have fallen through, like a lot of the deals do. But since they have a Lori and Mark box on their website, I'm assuming that the deal went through and all is well. After the pitch wraps up, Robert says what me and my partner have been saying for like the past 2 years watching this show, and to hear Robert say it was so funny.
I think Mark one day will learn you don't have to buy the company, you can just buy the
be a
product.
Just buy the cheese.
It's more fun when I get to say, but it's mine.
Final thoughts. I kind of gave my thoughts throughout with this one, got very sidetracked a lot of the time. My bad about that. For real final thoughts though, I just think overall it's a little too expensive, but I caveat by saying it's too expensive online. I don't really understand their whole e-commerce thing. It's only doing 16% of their business, and it's cheaper. It's like way cheaper to go in their restaurant. I went to order online for their restaurant in Austin, and the wheels are only like $10, which is a lot more reasonable and comparable to normal cheese. So I don't know why they wouldn't focus on getting out into more wholesalers or even maybe opening some more restaurants. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense at 16% and what the prices are for those cheese and everything having to be a subscription model. I don't know why every single thing has to be a subscription. And I get that why they probably want to push the e-commerce side is that it probably does save a significant amount of money versus, having a physical store. I definitely understand that, but I don't know. I can't see that being sustainable at that price, and I might be wrong. I mean, they're doing great. I mean, their sales are obviously fantastic, so honestly, what am I even saying? But 65% are from the restaurant. I'm going to stop there before I just keep ranting about what was probably the shortest pitch I've seen in so long. Our second pitch of the night is Pocket Panty. Ashley walked into the tank looking for $80,000 for 10% of her discreet panties you can keep in your bag in case of emergencies. Here it is. Once again, we have a pretty self-explanatory product. It's just a pair of panties in a little bag that you can keep in your purse in case of an emergency while you're on the go. And while she's explaining the product, she gives us the best line. I was gonna put it in here because it was so funny.
If you dragging a wagon, if you really slugging back there.
It cost her $2.24 to make them. She wholesales it for $5 and it retails for $10. That is for one pair, one panty. $10. She started at the end of 2021 and was able to make $8,000 in sales that year. Her lifetime sales are $60,000. She didn't say whether or not she was profitable. She did say that the $8,000 that she got in sales in 2021 was enough to recoup her initial investment, but she didn't say whether or not it is currently profitable, losing money. So who's to say? She has two main ways she sells it. Number one, she has a website she sells it from, and then she also has some orders with vending machines and schools and things like that. Robert asks, why Shark Tank? And she starts talking about the lack of opportunities like this that there are for Black women, and I'm just going to play a little bit of what she says because it was a great point to bring up, and she's more eloquent than I am.
Since 2018, Black women businesses have tripled, yet we get 0.27% of venture capital dollars. We don't get these opportunities, so this is like, whatever the outcome is today, I'm doing it for other women that look just like me that just don't get this. This is surreal.
Next up, we have Mark with a question.
Do you do anything on social media?
So,
she says that social media is just not really something that's in her wheelhouse, and this is about to become a huge sticking point. But first, Lori has to jump in to be like, hey, I think there are people up here that are better suited for you to partner with, so I'm just gonna go out. Then Robert jumps in, and he says that he's worried about the sales, and the way he says it is just so good.
The aura and the energy of Ashley doesn't match the sales.
Pretty much what he's getting at is that she's obviously a great saleswoman, and the numbers aren't matching what she should be selling with how great she is. Like, it's obvious how passionate she is about it, and he just thinks if she can't sell it, no one can, and because of where the sales are, he's out. And now we're back to Mark, who's still on the social media thing. He just thinks that selling this is hard because you need to make people think about it before the emergency to make them want to buy it to be prepared just in case. Otherwise, it's great like in the vending machines because she is selling it there. I think she has it in some schools, but she needs to make people think about it in order to buy it. And he talks about how social media is the best way to do that. And since she's just not going out there and doing that, he's out. Then we have Kevin, who simply says that he just thinks the product is too expensive and he goes out, leaving us left with only Emma, who arguably is the best shark for this deal.
You told us as you came out here why we all need this. And I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. I want to go back to Skims now and put a pair of panties in a pack and sell them. And that is your big problem.
So yeah, Emma pretty much talks about how the biggest concern she needs to have is the huge underwear companies that will see this and rip it off and that can sell it for a lot less than she can. Emma doesn't want to discourage her though and thinks she can build a business and a brand, but kind of agrees and goes back to what Mark is saying. If she has to get out there and go on social media and market it and sell it, because that's what she's good at, selling. Unfortunately, that means Ashley leaves the tank without a deal. Final thoughts. I really agree with the Sharks about the social media thing. I was shocked when she said that she wasn't doing social media because her personality, just everything about her pitch was great. And like Mark says, she just needs to do the pitch she just did in front of them on TikTok. I just think she would do so well. And I, like Emma, was just baffled that she didn't want to do it. I feel like she's maybe shy, maybe something like that. But, oh, that killed me. The next point I really agreed with was the pricing. I just think $10 is way too much for this. Emma brought up $3.99 at one point as what she would want to pay for something like this. And I very much agree that that's probably as high as you can go for an item like this. Finally, and this kind of goes back to the point of social media and getting the price down, I think something she should focus more on is the whole vending machine and schools thing. Because if you can get those consistent PO wholesale orders, like a school buying them in bulk or something like that, I just think that's a lot easier than trying to sell them one by one. I mean, it's obviously always a lot easier. I also think maybe trying to get them in like a FabFitFun box. That way somebody tries it once it back. I don't know how well FabFitFun actually does it, making people repeat customers. I'm just kind of, talking off the top of my head. But I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. I would probably focus on that versus the website because, like all the Sharks said, with the website, it's going to be a lot of her having to present and sell this product, make people think about it beforehand and buy it so they'll be ready instead of getting in the situation and needing it right then. I did really like her though, and I was kind of sad that Emma didn't make her a deal. I get why she didn't. It's not really something that's necessarily investable yet with where it is, but made me upset. At least she didn't, fake offer to mentor her like other people tend to do. Our third pitch of the night is Fly with Wine. Entrepreneurs Ryan and Ron walked into the tank looking for $500,000 for 8% of their luggage for wine lovers. So here it is. The suitcases have these little inserts that will hold your wine nice and safe while you're flying. The backpack has a 1.5 liter bladder in it that can hold the alcohol of your choice, and then it has a little spout so you can pour it out, the perfect party backpack. They also have other wine-themed products, but the only things they talk about this whole time are the suitcases and the backpacks, so that's all I'm going to talk about because before they get into the numbers, they want to show the dangers of what could happen to your wine if you're not using their suitcase, and what would Shark Tank be without a fun little demonstration.
Here goes your wine, babies.
Then we get another great moment while Emma's looking at the backpack.
Ooh.
Each one of you, we've prepared a special drink because we heard that there's a drink that you might like to enjoy.
Of course, since the Sharks have been handed a drink, that means they have to do their little tradition.
1, 2, 3.
Back to the numbers. So for the suitcases, they have different sizes for how many bottles you can fit in there and such. They range from $379.95 all the way down to $289.95, and then their margins are between 60 and 62 on the suitcases. The backpacks are $199.95, and their margin is 71%.
Listen, wine dudes, we have a question here, very important.
So Kevin comes in asking the first real question, why do they have their valuation at $6.25 million? And they let us know that as of when they started in 2016, their lifetime sales are $19 million. And while this is impressive, I beg you to hold your horses because we have a money-losing company. The Sharks asked them about their sales in the last 12 months, and they were $5.6 million. But the company was negative 47. He just said 47, I'm assuming 47,000. But year to date, they've done $2.3 million, and they've lost 100,000. They say the majority of the loss is from advertising. Last year, they spent $400,000 in advertising. So then Lori asks the next question that I think we're all thinking.
Why are you not making money?
They say it's because they're continually putting money back into the company. They hire good people and give good benefits. They also give themselves each a salary of $150,000. But this isn't really a great answer for Mark, and he wants to try to really dig into where exactly the money is going. And their response to this is puzzling.
There's only a couple places you can spend that much revenue, right?
Yeah, there's something called COVID that happens.
And why this is confusing to me is because I expected their next sentence to be something like, with COVID, people weren't traveling as much, so people weren't buying as much luggage. But no, he immediately goes into, we had a bunch of one-time expenses last year that we're not going to have again. Last year was 2020, so that has nothing to do with COVID. And then goes into the fact that they spent a lot of money on trade shows. And it's just like, what did that... But we just move on. Nobody questions it. We just kind of move on. So Mark decides to ask how much they have in inventory. And they have $1.5 million in inventory. Put a pin in that. Just keep that in your mind. We're going to come back to it later. Then, as is classic with Shark Tank, we decide to back up after we've gotten all the numbers and everything and ask, how did you come up with this? And pretty much, Ron wanted to get wine home from somewhere. Obviously, that's usually the answer to that question with most of these products. I had a problem, so I made this product. So Ron decides that there has to be some sort of solution out there, so he starts Googling, and he finds a guy in New Mexico who's pretty much come up with a version 1 of this product. Ron makes a deal with the guy and then partners up with Ryan, who he knew because Ryan used to work for him at a previous company, and we're here now.
So Ron, you're licensing this idea from someone else. This is not actually your product and your idea.
And the answer to that is no. And it's also a little complicated. So they have an investor who actually bought the IP for the product from the guy in New Mexico. She is their manufacturer, importer, and completely controls their supply chain. And she also has 20% equity of the business. So this obviously brings up some more questions. Number one, is there any other financial relationship with her? The answer is no, it's just the 20% equity she has, but it's also kind of like, they don't have any other financial obligations, but also she's the only person who produces their product. Lori then wants to know if she allows anybody else to sell the product. The answer to that is also no, they have full worldwide distribution rights. Then it gets just a little more convoluted because while she fully owns the patent for the suitcase, they filed jointly on the backpack, just making the relationship even weirder. We get to the obvious next question. How long is that agreement good for, that you're the only one selling this? The answer to that is 10 years, and then there's no real guarantee after that. There is the option to renew it, but that's just an option. That doesn't mean it has to happen. We start with Mark, who just thinks the whole thing is just going to be too hard to scale and goes out. Robert agrees with Mark's point about scalability and especially talks about the fact that they're tied to their manufacturer. And he points out that she makes money even when they're holding inventory, but they're only making money with the sell-through. And that whole model just makes it really hard for an investor and to scale. So he's out. Then we have Emma, who kind of just piggybacks off of Robert and says they should have gotten more of this business solidified and simplified before coming onto the tank. So she goes out. And lastly, Lori's really worried about all the money they lose and the profitability, and she's out. And then there's Kevin. Kevin, in full Kevin fashion, decides he needs to really explain to the guys what all the other sharks have been saying. So he compares them to a host and their manufacturer investor person as a parasite.
In nature, very successful parasites never kill their host.
He says because of their deal with her, they don't have the ability to go out and look for somebody who could maybe make this product cheaper, which doesn't help with their whole profitability issue. He says he understands the symbiotic relationship, but it makes it really hard for him to get his money back. Pretty much, they would just have to sell the company for $50 million, and the entrepreneurs, after hearing that, decide to say, let's pull a Kevin and offer a royalty.
Yeah, I thought about that, believe me.
Unfortunately, Kevin's not feeling the royalty, but he does give us a very Kevin moment before going out.
I don't like being beholden to a parasite. I'm the parasite.
Oh,
What you guys?
truer words have never been spoken.
Ever
on Shark Tank.
And the guys leave the tank without a deal. Final thoughts. Number one, I just have to agree with the Sharks about the whole relationship with the manufacturer / investor / everything. That just makes it impossible for somebody to really come in and do anything necessarily. Not do anything, but a shark is never going to be interested in a deal like that. I could have saved everybody the time of doing this whole pitch if they had just come to me and told me their business model. I would have said, no, don't go on Shark Tank. Nobody's going to want to do that. But no, nobody asked me. As far as the product itself goes, if this really matters to you, I'm sure it's a great product. They do sell inserts on their website, because that's something, my first thought was, why not just sell the insert part of it? And it looks like they do, but I wonder if it truly only fits in their suitcase, and I wonder if that suitcase is a standard size suitcase. Because honestly, I'd be more interested in just buying an insert, because, a lot of people invest in luggage, and, you should put it probably in a hard suitcase. I can see somebody buying this and putting it in a soft suitcase and a disaster happening. But I don't know. I think that's the way to go, is the insert. Our fourth and final pitch of the night is Cake's Body. Entrepreneurs Casey and Taylor walked into the tank looking for $300,000 for 5% for their new take on nipple covers. So here it is. It comes in 3 different sizes and 3 different colors. And what makes it unique is, number one, its seamless design that it's supposed to give you. It also adheres to your body using body heat instead of adhesive, so it's less irritating to the skin. It's also reusable. You can just rinse, reuse, rewear, and they say you can rewear it hundreds of times. It costs them $8 to make, and they retail it on their website for $30. They started the business with $10,000, and in their first year with no marketing, no nothing, they did $1 million in sales. Year to date, they're at $1.5 million, and they're projecting to end the year at $5 million in sales. And yes, we have a profitable company. This year so far, they've done $500,000 in profit. Obviously, the Sharks are like, how did you do this? And once again, we have a TikTok product. Apparently 90% of their revenue last year came from TikTok, which leads Mark to ask the important questions.
Oh, guys, let me ask you a tougher question. What happens if TikTok gets shut down or diminished?
And while he's right, it just makes me chuckle because of how hard he went on the other girl about social media. It's still a fair question either way, but that part makes me laugh. So at the very beginning, they put a nipple cover on Kevin's head. They ask him to come down and ask if they can, and they do. It is the thumbnail probably for this video. And Kevin looks broken. That man looks like a dog when you put an outfit on him and you can just tell they're so upset and they just freeze there. But he's such a good sport. He's always such a good sport about those things. I might give Kevin a lot of shit, but I can't say he doesn't commit to a bit. After the nipple cover, as if that's not enough, Robert has to continue the bullying because the girls are like, thank you so much. Like, they don't call you Mr. Wonderful for nothing. And Robert responds with this.
There's no reason.
Next up, we have Lori swooping in to ask one of her hard-hitting questions.
I have to also ask, I want to know about you and your backgrounds. And are you twins?
Then we get this great moment of Kevin and Robert just learning so much.
I really want to know what makes yours better. This is a saturated market.
Better than what?
There's everything, right? There's tape, there's silicone patches, there's Band-Aid type situations, but what makes this unique?
There was no one necessarily owning like the boob accessory and solution space.
There's a boob accessory space.
There's a boob solution space, I'm in it.
Then Emma brings us back to asking the things that matter, aka, why do they need a shark? They say they need help with turning this from being just a product into a brand with staying power. After that, it's time for Mark and Robert to go out, as neither of them have any idea how this space works whatsoever.
What I love about Shark Tank is you learn about stuff you didn't even know. NFO, who knew? Boob accessory market, who
knew?
Right,
Luckily though, they've caught the eye of Emma, who is arguably the perfect shark for them, and she is very impressed with them and offers them $300,000 for 12.5%.
First of all, we can't thank you enough for the offer. You're a queen.
After that, they start saying, and Lori, you're the QVC queen. And of course, Kevin has to jump in.
Can what am I, chop liver over here?
Mr. Wonderful, the best sport.
You're a queen too, Kevin.
But Kevin's serious. He wants to make an offer and says that Emma is being too greedy.
It's very selfish of her.
Mrs.
Right?
Greedy.
So
Exactly.
Kevin offers her the $300,000 for 5%, but he wants to do a royalty of $1 per set till he's paid back $1 million. After Kevin makes his offer, Emma decides to lay out all her credentials, talking about all she's done to build up brands in this exact space. And you think at that point, they would just say yes, or they would counter her, or they would talk to Emma. But no, they continue to talk to Kevin.
From
my
a
goodness.
partnership.
Oh my gosh,
Oh my goodness,
Casey,
you're
he
asking
knows
me.
nothing.
And it still doesn't stop there. They start being like, well, you know, like Emma said, it's really early in our business, so we just really can't afford to be doing a royalty right now. We just want to put all of our money back into the business to help it grow.
Why are you still talking to him?
Finally, they decide to counter Emma $300,000 for 8%, but Emma's not having it. However, she does counter them 10% and says it's her final offer. And they end up making a deal with Emma for $300,000 for 10%. After the women leave the tank, the sharks are talking as they like to do, talking about how Emma is the perfect fit for them, and Robert gives us this great line on our way out.
Yep.
What's incredible though is Kevin thinks he's the perfect fit for every business.
That's right, I am.
Final thoughts. I'm pretty sure I saw this on TikTok before it went on Shark Tank. So I thought I always think it's fun to see a product from TikTok or anywhere else on the internet and be like, hey, I know what that is. I'm definitely adding this to my products to try list. I don't have the need for them a lot, but when I do, I mean, they're right. What's out there, there's not a lot of great options. So I'd love to see how theirs work. If you've tried them, you know, as I always say, let me know in the comments. Really no complaints except for them almost losing the deal with Emma from being like, I don't know if they just felt bad for Kevin because they put one on his head or what they were thinking. They also seem like very like nice and polite girls, so maybe they just felt like they couldn't, you know, just not talk to Kevin, which I totally, you know, I get, but it was just, oh, it was frustrating to watch at home. I was like, focus. And that, my friends, is a wrap on season 15, episode 9 of Shark Tank. So, little fun fact for everybody, Shark Week's going on a 2-week break. Starting today, Friday, the 22nd, there's no new episode. The Friday after that, there's no new episode. And the next episode is supposed to be on January 5th, which means my next Shark Tank set of videos is looking like it's going to be January 15th. Until then, there'll be Wednesday videos. I'm probably going to take a break next week and not post anything to celebrate the holidays, chill out, work on some notes and new ideas for other videos. So don't expect a video next week because I'm pretty sure I'm not posting one. Almost 100% sure, actually. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much, and let me know what you think in the comments. Have you tried any of the products from this episode? Do you have any fun winter plans coming up? Let me know all that and more in the comments, and until then, I'll see y'all in the next one.